Hello, my fabulous listeners. Get ready for another captivating episode of Shut Up Chanel that's sure to keep you hooked from start to finish. Today, we're joined by the incredible Aurora Sexton, a dear friend and sister to me, and we're going to dive into her journey. She's an actress, a model, a performer, an advocate of trans rights. Aurora Sexton embodies the essence of an icon. Known for her captivating portrayals of Disney villains, her drag performances exude a unique blend of power, grace, and generosity rarely seen elsewhere. Her work as a drag queen and trans activist sets her apart and makes her a force to be reckoned with. Originally from Colorado, Aurora has spent the last decade thrilling audiences coast to coast with her celebrity illusions that always pushes the envelope. I feel incredibly fortunate that she now calls LA her home, as her captivating performances have left an undeniable mark on me and audiences across the United States. With a background in theater and art, Aurora's meticulous attention to detail shines through in every aspect of her music, costumes, and performances. Aurora's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. So grab your favorite beverage, cozy up, and join us as Aurora and I settle in for a cozy girls chat, reminiscing about how we met and uncovering the captivating story behind her rise to fame. This is one episode that you won't want to miss.
Shut up, Chanel! Shut up, Chanel! Chanel, shut up! Shut up, shut up! Shut up, Chanel! Shut up, Chanel! Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, Chanel! Shut up, shut up, shut up, Chanel!
Welcome to the stage, Aurora Sexton. Oh my God, it's working. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. Let's get a count to 5, Aurora, whenever you're ready.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Aurora, it's so good to see you. I actually saw Aurora on Zoom the other day because I interviewed her for a little secret project I was working on. And it reminded me, like, oh my God, I haven't interviewed Aurora. And she's been a part of my story for a while now. How are you?
I'm good. Me and all 50 of my personalities. I'm good.
And where are you joining us from today?
I'm joining you from my lovely home in West Hollywood, California.
I love it. And I have to tell this story really quick. So we were supposed to interview last night and Aurora's like, girl, my roommate's having an X-Men party. Can we reschedule? And sent me a picture of what? What did you send me a picture of?
Oh, they have like the most amazing collection of like X-Men memorabilia. Like, can you see this? Like all that. It's like there's a 3-foot tall drone. But it's fun. Like I remember did you watch X-Men when you were little?
I grew up with the boys and they all collected those X-Men cards. That's my memory goes to X-Men like collectible cards. But yeah, like I watched X-Men, but not like, I felt like I was more into like the card collecting.
I loved them. I loved like Saturday morning cartoons was X-Men and Thundercats and like Beetlejuice, the animated series, and like they had good shit back then.
They really did. And I felt like back in the day, like we really like appreciated TV shows because they were like only on, like you had to catch them when they aired or else like you missed it. So you like really like, I don't know. I really gave my attention to TV shows. Like now it's like, oh, you could put it on whenever you want. It's just different. It's a different vibe.
Yeah. I remember too, like they had Dungeons and Dragons for a bit and it went off air because so many people said, oh, it's demonology and satanic and it's warping our children. And now the shit you see on TV is way, way worse.
Way worse. No, that was such a like common thing, parents, because that's the thing is I don't think people had any, like they were looking for reasons to blame children acting like children on something, even like fighting. Remember like fighting games, like if you play a fighting video game, like you're gonna be a fighter. Like no. So I like to start off every episode with how we met. So I want you to tell me the story because I have a couple visions in my head of when you came into my life. And like Sasha Colby, you were a queen that I had heard about like for years. Like if you want to do your research on like who the fiercest queens are, Sasha Colby is in there and Aurora Sexton. I heard about you for years, and I think I remember when we met, but I want you to tell me.
I think the first I remember meeting was Carnival at Foo Bar. And you had on this um, blue power suit blazer and you were snatched up in a top knot and you like, I just remember this thing like, that bitch is so beautiful and so cunty. Like you always look good, like always put together, always glamorous. And, um, and of course we were all five sheets to the wind. And I think I'd lost my phone that night, and I thought somebody took it, and I think Timmy Garrett was bartending, and he found it.
Oh my God, Timmy, the old Foo Bar crew. So much started there. I know that exact blue blazer you're talking about. I feel like I just got rid of it like a year ago, and Alaska had this like blue themed cocktail party, and I went in my closet to go get it and realized I had gotten rid of it. But I can't believe you just remembered that look. I love when people remember my outfits because I'm like that. I'm a very visual person. I usually like remember outfits. I do know that you and Sasha Colby both were doing the top knot before I was, and I was definitely inspired by you and Sasha Colby because you always had a fierce top knot.
Hey, it's the easiest hairstyle to do, and if you're in a pinch,
It's the easiest, and people always think it takes so long.
you grease that shit up real quick, twist and snap.
Foo Bar. Okay, because I remember, and so were you living in Colorado still then? Were you just like visiting LA? Like, why were you in LA?
I was still living in Nashville at the time. Um, I was working at Play Dance Bar with Brooklyn Heights, and we'd been there for about 5 years, and I'd been itching to come out to LA, for a long time. I had a lot of friends that had moved out here, and that were doing really well. And when I saw, all the incredible things that were happening for, in my community for trans people, in media and television stuff, I was like, I want to go and be a part of that. So I tiptoed out here for about 3 years. I'd make different trips out, and Brad Hammer, I'd known him for years from Chicago, and he'd set up his whole production company here. So when I talked to him, like, what's LA like, and do you think I'd do well there? And he was like, oh my God, like, get your ass out here now. And he gave me one of my first jobs out here, working on production with him, as an art director, creative director. Um, and after that, I was just like, let's just do it. Let's just take the jump and go. And honestly, the hardest part of moving anywhere is the leaving part. Once you're there, things fall into place. And like in LA, I mean, the work just comes, and we don't know how we pay this exorbitant rent we pay. We just do it every month.
Every time I add like a new membership, I'm always like, are we going to be able to afford it? But like, fuck it. Like I live once. Like I had this scarcity mentality when I was younger of like always feeling like I wasn't going to make it, or I wasn't going to pay my bills, or I was going to like have to call like my parents crying because I was like negative in my bank account. And I don't know when the day was that I just like, it stopped. Like I stopped going negative. And it's not even that like, because I feel like I spend more money now than I like make, but it's, yeah, there comes a point where you just figure it out. Like the scarcity mentality kind of goes away. Do you feel that way?
I don't think it ever completely goes away, depending on the month. Because out here it's feast or famine. Some months I work a ton and I have tons of different events and gigs, and some months you don't have anything. So you have to work 5 jobs, diversify, learn skills, and I think all the things I learned, as a drag entertainer and doing drag pageants and stuff, now I apply all that to, my work out here. I mean, I work as a makeup artist. I've worked with a lot of big celebrities. I've worked on a lot of different musicals, music videos, whatever. So that's one thing I know how to do. Also like style work, costume design, wig design, like all that stuff. Like people are constantly in need of all those things out here. So thankfully, my skill set comes in handy very often.
And you're not afraid to put yourself out there. I think that's another thing. It's like letting people know when you're available, letting, like, when you see a project that interests you, reaching out to those people and saying you're available. Because I think I did have this like savior complex when I first started, was like, someone's gonna like find me and know that I'm good at my job and they're gonna hire me. And no, like a lot of it in the beginning was being annoying. When I first started working in production, like I used to bug the shit out of people. Like I would text them like a needy girlfriend, like every other day. I'd be like, so I know you said like you weren't hiring yet, but like, has anything come up? And I just like bug the shit out of people. And then I just realized like you do have to bug people to get far in life.
Well,
And it's not bugging people.
Well, as a good friend told me once, nobody's ever going to know there's a star if the stars hold up at home.
Oh, I need to take that advice in my dating life. Do I ever? I want you to.
You and me both, honey.
I know we could talk. We could like. We'll go into dating. I kind of want to like start at the beginning because there is like so much that I don't know about you. Like I think just the other night I realized that you. So you were born. You were born in Colorado.
I was.
You were born in Colorado. Then you made your way to Chicago, then Nashville, then LA.
Yes.
Oh, I got the timeline. Okay, so let's take me back to Colorado. What was it like growing up in Colorado? What was your family like growing up? What were you like as a little kid?
Um, well, my story is pretty wild and unique, and it's taken me years of therapy to work through it. But my childhood was pretty typical, all-American, like that show, The Wonder Years. That was my childhood. I grew up in a little suburb of Colorado called Arvada. My elementary school was walking distance. I never met my dad, so me and my mom lived with my grandma until I was 8. And then my mom got married, and him and I did not get along at all. And we moved out to the country. And um,
You and your stepdad didn't get along?
no, for a variety of reasons. But uh, I was about 13 when I moved out of the house. He was very abusive to me for the entirety of the time I lived there, until one night I finally fought back and I couldn't take it anymore. And the police came and removed me from the home and basically said it wasn't a good idea for me to go back. And my grandmother, she was too old to raise another kid. So that kind of began my adventure in the world. And I, lived on the street for a couple weeks, just bouncing around different couches. I was part of a queer youth support group at the time. And so they helped me, find places to live until this group of drag queens that I met took me in and essentially raised me, and sent me to school, taught me the tricks of the trade. I was in my first professional drag review at 15 years old, which my mom had to sign a parental consent form for me to be a part of. I started from there. I started at Trax 2000, which was the biggest gay club in Colorado. And I worked there for about 3 years before they closed, and then they opened a new place. And by that time, I had just turned 20, and I had two friends that were moving to Chicago, and they were like, "Do you want to come with?" And something in me just said, "This is your time. This is what you need to do," because I wanted a life bigger than what Colorado could provide or offer. And so I was like, fuck it. I had no money. I had, two suitcases, and there I went. And first night I got to Chicago, I'd met up with a girlfriend of mine, that I'd met on the internet. That was back when the internet was like a new thing. So there were like AOL chat rooms, you could meet people and stuff. And
AOL
I-
chat
oh
rooms.
my
Oh my God. Where I was pretending I was 24 at like 14 years old. Like 24 female Callie.
God. Right. God, there were some freaks in those rooms.
Freaks. But I feel like that's where like you first started to like, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
it there was so much mystery and like you could like really be a character of whoever you wanted to
Oh,
be.
yeah.
And
You
like
be whoever you wanted to be.
Like I was scared to flirt with boys at school, but at home I was like, I think that's where we learned sex talk. That's probably where I learned sex talk. Guys being like, I'm holding my big cock right now. And I'm like, in my NSYNC bedroom.
Well, if you like further classes, download Grinder. You'll get all the dirty messages you want.
Oh my God. I downloaded Grinder when I toured with DWV so that I could find weed and the cool parties. And then my picture was DWV.
Oh my God.
Okay, but keep going. Keep going. I distracted you.
Where were we? Oh, so I got to Chicago, and that first week I was there was Miss Continental. The Miss Continental pageant was happening, and of course I knew what that was. You know, the queens that had brought me up, you know, taught me about all the national pageants. Miss Gay USA, which I later won, Entertainer of the Year, which I later won, Miss Gay America, Miss Continental. And I walked into the pageant that night, and it changed my whole life. It changed the whole direction of my life and where I knew I wanted to go and what I wanted to be. Erica Andrews won that night, who ended up becoming a mentor of mine and a really good friend. Um, and you know, from there it kind of just snowballed into an amazing decade of nightlife and parties and pageants and just craziness. And then I won Entertainer of the Year in 2011. And when I won that, that was in Louisville, Kentucky. And the owners of Play Dance Bar saw me and they offered me a job at their club. And I'd always wanted to live in the South at least once. And I was like, well, this is a new adventure. And I followed that voice in myself that said, this is time. It's time for something new. And I did it. And I never thought I would wake up and say I lived in Tennessee, but I did. And Nashville, you know, it's kind of the blueberry and the tomato soup, the same as Austin is in Texas. You know, Nashville itself is very liberal. The music scene is very liberal, you know, with all the artists and you know, their talent that comes in. And we were the biggest, it's still the biggest club in Nashville. So we were packed every week, and it was not odd to come out in the hallway of the dressing room and there's Troye Sivan, there's Kelly Clarkson, you know. Me and Brooke made out with AJ McLean one night back there. You know, we had wild times.
Wild times. Oh my God. So was this like your first like celeb moment in your life? Like where you were like seeing celebs and stuff?
No, you know, we saw a lot of celebs in Chicago too. Like a lot of you know, sports figures. I actually lost my wig in front of, I can't remember the actor's name, but he played Peter Brady in the Brady Bunch. And the girl he was dating that won America's Top Model, I think the first season.
Wait, that is such a weird connection. That's Christopher Knight. When my first like industry job in LA, my boss is and still is Christopher Knight's manager. And so when I was like 23, like no, when I was like 20 to 23, I was with them like every week. And me and Adrian totally like I saw them all the time. I haven't thought about them in so many years. But that's so strange and such a like full circle moment.
Yeah, lost my wig right in front of it, landed right on their table.
Adrian Curry, Christopher Knight and Adrian Curry. Oh my God, I used to get high with Adrian. Yeah. Yeah, she was fun. She was fun. That's so funny. That's so full circle. And Raja probably was on her season.
Oh yeah. And she was in the makeup.
Yeah. Okay, wait. I want to backtrack though, because you told me so much stuff and then we just like, If I was your therapist, I would be like, wait, 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 wait. And ever tell me if I'm overstepping, but like I have so many questions. Wait, so like you left your house at 13?
Mhm.
13 years old, and they
Mhm.
didn't like they didn't put you in like a foster system, like you were like, and then I started living my life, but like you can at 13. So how did that, were you a part of like, how did the drag queens like end up taking you in?
They stuffed me in a sack in the middle of the night.
Because I'm like,
Right.
it's not that easy. Like you, like, did your mom have to sign over like paperwork? Like, how did that work?
Um, well, it was such a messy ordeal, you know. She at the time she was working at a youth correctional services facility. Like she was the assistant director. And
Wow, that must have been tough.
well, not really, because when I was little, she would take me to work with her. Like when I was 5, 6, and I'd be up in the control center, like pretending to answer the phones and like and stuff. And they would let me go on the floor with the kids, and the kids would read to me, or I would go in the kitchen and I'd help serve lunch.
Oh, I
Uh,
love that.
and the kids weren't like crazy, like
No.
that would never happen today. But back then, they were just um they were in trouble, but it wasn't like out of control. Like if that happened today, I would have been held for ransom with a shank, you know. Um so
No, so yeah, was it like it was, so it was a correctional facility. It wasn't like one of those like places that we hear about now that like Paris Hilton was sent to.
no, no.
No, no, no.
Yeah. No, it was a juvie jail,
Okay.
so the kids weren't in there like for years and years. uh
No.
no, but her the man she married was a cop, so he had very that kind of cop mentality, and my way is the highway. And and I was a very wild, creative, and rambunctious child. And they they wanted me to be in Boy Scouts and do all these different things that I had absolutely no interest in. And I think that um they really didn't know what to do with a creative kid. And I just wanted to be left alone, paint the walls, that's all I wanted. Um
Like,
so,
can you just let me fucking paint?
so when the abuse started, it wasn't insane. I was a very hard kid to deal with. I'm not going to pretend like I wasn't, but then it escalated, way past that into, um, you know, things that definitely crossed the line. Where I had, bruises all over my body like every day, and and it took me a long time to work through that. I think, they had my sister, so she was very little when this was going on. Um, and that kind of factored in. I think she never left him. So, but I also want to say that we've all worked through all this and have talked about it. And you can't change the past. But the past also doesn't dictate your future either. And for me it did for a long time. For me, I struggled with it, and I processed it with drugs and alcohol and sex and other different kinds of unhealthy behaviors, instead of just dealing with it, instead of just sitting down, and hashing it out, which we and now, we have a great relationship. I'm very close with my sister. I'm very close with my mom. Um, I really don't talk to, her husband, but when he sees me, he's cordial, with me. And I think they thought, you know, being this wild, crazy kid that was obsessed with, witchcraft and magic and a fantasy and all these crazy things, that I was going to end up, in jail, serial killer, or something insane. Um,
Yeah, they were carrying their own baggage. Your mom worked in a juvie and your stepdad was a cop. Like, it's like they were bringing that home. You know what I mean? And then seeing you and trying to control the person that you were always meant to be.
Yeah. Well, also like transgender wasn't a word back then. It wasn't a concept. It was certainly not mainstream. And the only places you saw it, were Maury Povich or Jerry Springer or, where it was a parody or a joke, or we were sad. And I didn't know what that was. My mom didn't either, but I knew that, I was in the shower, trying to shave all my body hair off because I was like, no, 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 this isn't supposed to happen to me. And trying to grow my hair long and, getting bullied, because I was, effeminate, or I liked effeminate things. Um, and living out in the country and, you know, in the middle of nowhere, it was not a very welcoming place for queer kids or anybody that didn't fit the norm.
That's what's crazy. Cause like when you say like, oh, like I had that, that Wonder Years upbringing, the first thing you go to think of is like, oh, she had like a nice upbringing, but it's like, no, like throw a young, like, yeah, but like you were battling with like your identity.
Yeah. But up until we moved, like I did have a pretty good childhood. My grandmother were very, very, very close. And
Grandmas are the best.
yeah, she passed last year.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Um, and that was a really, rough thing to process. But back then, she was my champion. But she also came from a time, when if we didn't talk about things, they're not happening. And we'll just put it away and it's fine. And we'll put out a nice dinner or something and it's fine. And but it wasn't fine. And I was not going to talking to cousins and different people in my family, I found that a lot of the women in my family are that way. And, I decided like, no, that's not okay. And I'm not going to operate this way. And my sister is exactly the same way, thank God.
You guys are breaking the curse. I feel like that's what I push for my brother and I, is that like, just because like everyone before us has been different, like we don't need to be that way. Like we're I could be the one that's like, no, I'm not going to marry an alcoholic. I'm not gonna, like I'm starting to just say no to these things that it would have been so easy for me to, like, that would be easier. I think that shit all the time. Like it would be way easier for me to get into a toxic relationship and do all the things that every woman in my family has done. It's like harder being single. It's like harder choosing myself. But I'm like, that's why I'm single, because we live in a city of toxic alcoholics. And I'm like, no, I can't marry an alcoholic or a drug addict. I can't. Like, I can't. And it's really hard. It's really hard.
But you have to choose yourself first, because if you don't, you're not going to be good to anybody else. When you choose yourself, you're choosing your physical health, your mental health, your career, your home, your overall well-being. If you're not in a good place in those different places in life, you're not going to be good for anybody else.
It's so true. It's so true. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully by like 50, I've got this myself figured out. Because I really think
by then we won't be allowed in Hollywood anymore.
Exactly. Well, I think like I don't even want to say it's daddy issues. I just think like my upbringing really like, it was really hard for me to ever want to slow down and just like sit with myself. In the past like 2 years, like I've really just been sitting with myself and like enjoying the loneliness, which I never thought I would do. I used to cry every Sunday about how lonely I am. And like, I still have those Sundays. Sundays are my depression day, but they've gotten less and less. So I know I'm doing something that's helping.
Girl, you're not alone, girl. I used to beat myself up all the time because I couldn't get a boyfriend. I didn't feel like anybody wanted to date me. And look, I mean, dating's hard enough, but especially when you're trans, it's such a minefield because so many people they just view trans people as a fetish. And they want to have their sexual experience and move on. They have any other interest past that. So, I mean, it's a little better now. I think the world's a lot more open-minded, um, you know, to um, to different kinds of people. So a lot of my, girlfriends and stuff now, I do see them dating or they have boyfriends and stuff. And when somebody wants the job, if anybody's listening,
You like get extra sensual. If anyone's listening,
I'm free.
I'm I can't believe you're single. When was the last time you had a boyfriend?
Oh God, a serious one? It's been at least a decade.
Honestly, I'm getting there close. The last time I was in a serious relationship was probably like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And 3 of those were COVID. So and like, girl, I've dated. Like, we've both dated. I'm just starting to get like, I really wanted to take like the last couple of years to like just have fun again because I forgot about the funness. Like, I think that's another thing is that I was getting into this like I want to seriously date, but I forgot to like have fun too. So I went and I had a little bit of like a let's date some younger men and like have fun. But now I'm like back to like wanting a partner and someone at my level. Like, that's like the new thing I just keep telling myself. Like, are they at your level? Like, they need, like, I want someone at my level or higher. Like, so that like I have something to like want to like, achieve. But yeah, no more dating down for me.
That's how I feel too. Like I want to meet somebody that's successful, that's doing their own thing, that has their own life, their own friends. Um, i- if they're not in my industry, even better. Because I've I had dated people that I thought were going to turn into something, and then it turned out they were dating me because of what they thought I could do for them, within the industry, I don't have time for that shit.
No,
You
but I
know?
see that happen with like so many girls. It's like, it's like this guy it's like fulfilling the validation and all these other things that like we should already be filling for ourselves. Like, and that's why like I was attracted to like the love bombers, the person that like gives you the perfect idea or like says the right things, smooth talkers. I'm all about a smooth talker, and now I'm really trying to look at action and like all areas of my life, like not just dating. Like, I don't like if you say something like it doesn't matter to me anymore. Like, I'm looking at like actions of friends and lovers. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. And I think the most important thing, don't settle because you feel lonely, because you think that this is the best you can do. Because I've seen time and time again, friends get into those relationships and they're more miserable then than if they just stayed single. I did. And I found like instead of putting in work and all this time in trying to find somebody, I'm going to put in that time and effort on myself. And I'm the best version of myself I can be, the most successful I can be, so that when uh, opportunity meets preparation, and anything, whether it's your career, friendships, relationships, you'll be prepared for that person to come into your life and know who you are and be at ease and not feel like you have to perform or put on shows for somebody. No.
But I think it's the industry we kind of grew up in too. Like I was just saying, like when I want to get a job, like I'm annoying as fuck. Like I will get that job. I will be persistent. But like when it comes to like relationships, like I'm really trying to like not chase and to just attract and put, like you said, put that effort in. Like all those hours I used to spend like going to a bar to like hope a guy flirts with me, or like, you know, like now I'm putting in those hours at the gym, or I'm like trying to build like, you know, projects for myself, or so yeah, I still don't think I have it figured out, but
And honey, if I'm gonna go to a bar hoping a man flirts with me, it's gonna be the Waldorf. I'm gonna put on the nicest dress I have and sit at the end of that bar. Hello.
man, you need to do that. No, my girlfriend Brittany came to visit this weekend, and we just went to Sunset Tower on Saturday night and just had wine at the bar. And like, I was like, I need to start doing this more. It's across the street from my fucking house. Like, I mean, I loved having my girlfriend there, but like I could just go and sit at that bar and like I'll meet people, you know? And then it's like different than at some like divey bar where I'm, you know, getting hit on by another fuck boy that's gonna like tell me he loves me within the first week and then ghost me, you know? So
Throw a rock, you'll hit a fuckboy.
it's too hard in LA. I think we're kidding ourselves by thinking any of this. Because
and all of them are influencers.
Yeah, I mean, I do dating shows, so I know firsthand the caliber of single women in LA is like these girls are 12s, and they're like their stories to me about men. It's so sad, but it almost makes me feel better because I'm like, this freaking Ford model is dealing with the same fucking shit I am, and it's just the city. You know, August Getty told me I should start going to London for dates, and I was like, I should.
My girlfriend's son is trying to hook me up with this guy in London right now.
I think that's what it is. I need that. It's the putting it out there. That's also, I think, a way of like letting people know that like I do want a boyfriend. Like if you know someone, like, cause I think you're putting out that like energy of like if you think of anyone, you know what I mean? Rather than like sitting through and like scrolling through pictures, because that doesn't work for me. It doesn't work. I want to smell you. I want to hear the sound of your voice. I want a friend to tell me that like they've heard that they're good in bed. Like I want all of the things.
I want the hours back of my life that I've spent scrolling on Tinder.
Yeah, I even deleted my Raya the other day. I was like, I don't even want Raya anymore because I'm like the math's not mathing. I've had it for 2 years, and the only guys I've gone out from Raya were guys that I had slept with before. Like it was like, oh, hey, good to see you. So I was like, that's not working. Like I try to look at things that like if it hasn't worked after a long time, like I used to like go to like certain like restaurants and stuff because I was like, oh, I'll find a guy here. But then like I see beautiful girls still at this place single. So I'm like, the math is not mathing. Like I'm not going to meet him here. If this beautiful girl hasn't met a guy here in 2 years, like I'm not, you know? So now I'm trying the gym. We'll see how that works. I'm on month 3. I still haven't gotten any results, but I do have a couple crushes. And that's enough for me, honestly, right now. Like I kind of love that I just have like these like gym crushes that I like could flirt with occasionally throughout the week. And then I call it a day. Then I get to go home and like lay on my couch.
Wait, which gym are you going to?
I'm going to Equinox. You should sign up. It's really the ratio of men to women there. It's probably like 6-7 guys to every girl. And yesterday I saw Jodie Foster and Will Ferrell there. And I was like,
I was just about to say they're all gay, and you took the words right out of my mouth.
But no, honestly, no. I thought the same thing. I was like, Equinox WeHo is going to be so gay, but like, at least like it'll be like a little, I don't know. I need something to like force me to get there, and like a high price monthly membership will get me there. But the guys are very straight. I think the guys go there thinking it's not going to be like if they were to go to like somewhere else where there's like hot girls everywhere, because I think they want like the machines, you know, and I think they like hate going. So, and I'm just me on my elliptical, like the machines are all for you guys.
I'm an elliptical girl too. Literally, that's all I do when I go to the gym. I go in, I get on the elliptical, I'll maybe do the stairs, and then I leave.
I've started to finish with some arm workouts because I've done this before where I'm like, I'm not seeing results fast enough. And it's like, I read online, like you should like work out your muscles a little bit after you get the cardio on, but just like 2 sets of like arm reps. That's all I'm doing right now. Okay. So You got adopted by drag queens. This is fucking amazing.
AJ and the Queen, I lived it.
It's almost like I'm also thinking of the first drag queens I ever saw on television were in the movie Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dad. Do you remember that
When they steal
scene?
the car.
They steal the car. When you said you got taken by drag queens, that was like the image that went in my head, was like them throwing young Aurora in the back seat of this like car and driving away with you. But what was that like? Who were the drag queens that took you in? And like, take me through that journey, because I think that like we skipped over it a little bit.
We'll just take this and edit it, put it back. So the gay support group I was a part of, we would have guest speakers come in from the community and talk to us. And we had a couple of drag queens come in that were going to be performing at this event called Queer Prom, which the center put on every year. And it was basically for, all the kids that couldn't go to their proms or be themselves at their proms. They would have at this beautiful event space in downtown Denver. So basically I was already out of the house at that time, and I was staying on a friend's couch that I'd met in the group, and we decided to go. So I got in drag for my first time, and I went, and I won prom queen. And
I just got the chills for you. That's so exciting. And then it was all over.
yeah. And I remember that night, going out with my friends and celebrating, and like, sitting on top of 7-Eleven eating nachos and watching the sun come up. And, I just felt so free. And it really didn't dawn on me like how serious my situation was, and things were happening. I was just taking in the world. Um, and
Because it was probably the first time you felt safe in a really long time.
yeah.
If you think about it, like, even though your childhood wasn't like as bad as it could have been, like, you were abused and you didn't feel safe in your own home. And so this was probably like the first time you felt safe in being like who you were.
And so, I wanted to start performing, but obviously we couldn't perform in the bars, the clubs yet, even though about a year later I was sneaking in, and they weren't carding me because I was with all these queens.
That's all you need,
yeah.
little kid listeners. No, just we're not promoting it, but you just need one drag queen to get you into the club.
Yeah. So there was this coffee house called Dad's in Denver, and the kids just started going there. And then we asked, the owner, who was a gay man, if we could just start doing shows there, and he let us. And so we started throwing, kid shows. And we were also doing shows at Rainbow Alley, which was the LGBTQ Center for Queer Youth 18. And we were doing shows there. And so I moved into downtown Denver, and I met these queens that were involved with the Imperial Court. So the Imperial Court is a system that's in just about every state, and it's drag queens who raise money for charity. And every year they elect an emperor and an empress to head the local organization, which is a huge affair, huge award show with like this huge stage, and it was just fabulous back then. Still is. And so these queens were involved with that. Trinity Starr and Eve Adams, who was on the first Real World Boston. She was one of the queens that worked at the machine, and I can't remember who the cast member was that she was friends with, but she made a couple of appearances on the show. Living in their apartment, and they were poor too. Like, I remember eating government peanut butter, and they would teach me how to paint, and that's when I started like experimenting, like styling wigs. I set one wig on fire, I melted like 5 others. They would call me Dr. Frankenwig.
Look at her now.
I would come out like smoking and everything.
Dr. Frankenstein.
And but they made sure I went to school, and that I was cared for and that I was loved, and eventually they ended up moving. So I ended up moving into a 2-bedroom apartment with 8 drag queens that was right by dad's coffee house. So, we could do shows at the time, but I mean, it was crazy. There was people in and out all the time. There was drugs. There was all this shit that like, again, I didn't know how serious. I was just like, this is great. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
living the life. I'm wild and free. Um,
Isn't that the crazy, like when you're young, like that sense of like when I used to do dark, I mean, I was around some dark shit when I was young, but to me it was like, oh my God, we're living. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is the
yeah.
life.
Yeah, I mean, we would go to Cheeseman Park was like a cruising park, and that's all the gay people would hang out, all the kids from tracks, or the clubs or whatever. And I mean, like I got propositioned so many times by these old men in that park, like, hey, can I give you $10, blow you in my car and stuff? And it's like, no, because I just even then, like, I just wanted love. I just want to, meet somebody and have a boyfriend and stuff. But I remember these two guys, um, like one was cute. They took me to their apartment, which was like right around the park, asked me if I wanted to smoke weed, and I was probably like 13, 14 at the time. And I was like, yeah. And we were doing gravity bong hits, and they took me back into the switch, fucked me up. And they took me back into the apartment and like laid me on the bed, and they started trying to do stuff to me. And, I was trying to like, I was like, no, no, no. And the older guy he asked me how old I was. And I told him, and he was like, okay, this is over. Leave.
Well,
You know,
thank God
so
for
yeah.
that.
So
But
I,
like,
so
no,
I
not
almost,
he only rapes people over 18.
yeah. So I mean, I dodged a lot of crazy shit, that could have been a lot worse. Um,
I just talked to my therapist about that the other day. I feel like I am just now getting comfortable talking about the times that like guys took advantage of me because I always blamed myself. My first time getting really stoned, this guy in my drama class asked me to go over to his house to get stoned, and I had just started getting high. Like I had like smoked out of pipes, but I had never done a bong or a gravity bong, and he was like, I got a gravity bong. And I was like, fuck yeah. So I went over to his house and we like did this gravity bong, and then literally the same thing. Like he just like, cause I was so fucked up. He was like kissing me, and like, because I was so stoned and out of it, and being a woman, like we just go along with things because sometimes we're just scared to say no, to be honest. Or we're like, we're stoned, so we like asked for this, But like, we didn't ask for
right.
it. I wasn't like, kiss me. I wasn't like, let's get me so high out of my mind, and then maybe I'll want to hook up with you, So like, none of it's okay. But it's good that we talk about it.
No,
And then we both almost got raped after having a gravity bomb. See, the
no,
sisterhood runs deep, girly. I knew it.
yeah, well, we should talk about it. We should take ownership of those things, because then that puts the power back in our hands.
And
You
I'm trying to
know,
do that now. I'm literally been in this like allocation period of my life where like I'm not just gonna like sit around. Like if I'm gonna be sitting around with myself, like let's start like thinking about the things that I have, because I do carry so much shame and guilt, and I'm like, where does this all come from? And so now I'm trying to find the instances where it came from, and like it's a lot of it has to do with like the way that men treated me.
when people take advantage, I mean, you know, one guy I dated when I was 13 was 23, and I didn't see, the issue because he
No, it's
looked,
cool when you're younger.
yeah, because I thought it was cool, and he looked really young, and he made me feel good, but he was also like an
An
adult.
adult. And
It
you
was
know who started that rumor? Like the thing is, it's because we like the media and the male patriarchy, like from a little, like we're always taught like older men are like are
Mhm.
attractive, and it's like little girls and older men. And so, and there is like when we're going through like puberty and stuff, it's like, you're just horny, it doesn't give the right for older people to take advantage of the horniness, just because I was horny doesn't mean I was asking for it, just because I liked attention from older men, like that was a me problem. That was like because I watched too many movies as a kid and was like.
Yeah, we all wanted to live the pretty woman fantasy, but it does not turn out like that. There
It
are
does
there
not.
are no private flights to San Francisco, honey. Okay.
No. They don't choose you at the end. They don't. They don't.
No, but you know who did, and I think that this was the beginning of like real stability in my life was my drag mother, my drag parents, Kira Sexton, and her husband Christian. They uh they had Miss Gay Pride Colorado, which was a huge pageant, still is. And so they created a youth division because they saw all of us younger queens coming up. And I won it. And
That's two wins. That's two wins for Aurora.
yeah, both before the age of 14. And were they were very impressed with me. And so, approached me about, they were like, do you have a drag mom family? I'm like, not really. And so she took me under her wing and taught me everything. And Walter was his boy name. He gave me my first job as a makeup artist as Elizabeth Arden. Um, they were from Texas, so she was like Texas pageant queen, sickening, backflips, just glamorous and gorgeous and, everything I wanted to be. And they introduced me to drag pageantry, Miss Gay US of A, um, all that. And
Which you
really,
also won. Which you also won.
yeah, which I also won. And they just really gave me, structure and stability and support and love, and really helped me mend the fences with my family. He became close with my mom and my grandmother,
Oh, I love
um,
that.
and so, that was really the beginning of like pulling, things back together for us. Um, and he,
When did the humor come in? Okay, so because like when I see like you don't like I always see like I will always see the pageant influence. But like you're one of those queens that like you'll come out and like I have never have any idea what the direct like where it's going. Like I don't know if it's gonna be a dark humor. I don't know if you're gonna pull like some reference from a movie I haven't thought of in a while, but like it's always so thought out. Like whenever I watch any of your performances, like it's so thought out. Like even the other day, guys, like when I interviewed her for this other gig, she had like props and it was like so thought out. And I was like, I don't get this from anyone else. So I want to know like when did that start? Like when was it? Were you always funny? Like did you always like to push the envelope? Did that kind of evolve?
it definitely evolved. Since I was little, I was always performing. I was always dressing up. Like I've got all these, pictures, Polaroid pictures that, my grandma would take of me, and I was dressed up in different costumes. I was always putting on shows for her. And as I, grew as an entertainer, as a person, um, you know, I found that just coming out on stage and being pretty, resting on pretty was boring to me. Uh, and I love seeing how audiences react when I do something completely unexpected, or sick or silly or stupid. Like I never wanted to be pigeonholed as, or she's the dancer girl, she's the pretty girl, or she's that. Like, why can't I be all things? You know, I I just want to have fun. I think that's the most important thing to me about, when it comes to like drag performance, show performance, like I want to have a good time and I want the audience to have a good time too. Um, uh, and to expect the unexpected because that keeps people interested. You know, and when you get bored, so does your audience.
Oh my God, what are your 5 rules for a good performance?
Um, know your words. uh know your music, and I mean every inflection, every beat. Monica Monroe taught me a lot about music and how to move to it. If you watch videos of her on YouTube and she's like da, 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 every single thing, like, and you see that when Sasha performs too, because we learn from the best. um
Yeah, like even if you didn't know the words, like the body is like mouthing the words.
yeah, like if I don't know this word, you're gonna get a
Yeah, it's
or
like
Harry Potts.
Totally. That is so true.
Um,
Oh my
um,
God. And you learned that from the best.
I also think like, you know, costuming attention to detail is so important. I'm a stickler for details. Um, and I think that's what really separates professionals from the novice. It is that attention to detail, whether it's your costuming, your makeup, your hair, your mix, um, the way you wiggle your lip or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like know that shit front to back. Um,
And are you
and
practicing this over and over in front of a mirror?
oh, bitch, I twirl around my apartment all day long. If I'm really feeling a song and stuff, it's not just learning the words. Like I want to feel it and live it and breathe it and just
I
And,
love.
if I'm doing mixes, like if I'm doing a character or putting together something like that, like if I'm making myself hysterically laugh, like I have one number, that's my trailer trash mix where I come out and I'm covered in babies and like I'm pregnant and I've got hillbilly teeth and I'm smoking. Yeah, I'm like, I'm saving up that camel cash for a cruise, but maybe he needs a new love. Whatever. If I'm cracking myself up the whole time, I know they're gonna crack up too. And sometimes I can't even get through the number because I'm laughing so hard because they're laughing so hard, you know, or just shit that, nobody else has the balls to do. Like, I came out and did Britney Spears with the Knives, and that place erupted. It went nuts. And I was like, yeah, because
Yeah.
you do as much as I do, and like, and that's, I think, the most important rule that I follow is have fun, like if you're going out there and you're just
You
going
could tell. You could
fucking number.
tell when a
No,
drag,
you're like,
you
get
could
this
tell.
fucking number over with. I don't care. Let me pick my cabbage and hit it. As
They
opposed
wore
to
they
saying,
wore they
yeah,
wore they wore slides with their tights to the club,
sure do,
and they
babe.
just they just want to go home
Sure do,
as
babe.
soon as
And
they're.
and look, I've had plenty of those performances too where I'm just phoning it in. I'm tired. I'm like, this town sucks. I just want to get this over with and done. And then, but there's numbers like, I'm gonna perform and I'm performing. You're here to see me perform, fine. If I get money, great. But I'm doing this because it makes me happy and it me to do this.
What's your proudest
Um,
achievement that you've achieved? What are you most proud of yourself for doing?
um, staying alive.
Fuck yeah. Honestly, some of that sometimes I'm like,
Staying alive.
I'm just so proud of myself for not getting addicted to opioids. Opiates. I think it's opiates. Yeah, like I could have it. I grew up in San Diego, like right by the border. Like it could have been so easy, and I never did it. And so I like some days when I'm being down on myself, I'm like, at least you're not addicted to opiates.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. Oh gosh. I mean, I've done a lot of cool things in my career. I've worked with a lot of major celebrities, Kate Blanchett, Paul Abdul, Joey McIntyre, um, you know, s- and not just as like as a queen of performer, but as a trans person, especially in our political climate. It's not lost on me that when someone like me is allowed into those rooms and those spaces, um, and have a chance to show people who have no idea about trans identities or who trans people are, um, you know, hi, this is me. I'm a makeup artist. I'm a designer and performance stuff, and I happen to be trans. Secondary. Um, So I think if there's anything I could be proud of in all the things I've done, is that hopefully the work that I do, um, the art that I put out changes the narrative and makes things easier for the next generation of trans people to to live as their authentic selves and to go out and be able to get work, or keep a job or find a relationship because my generation and the many many trans people before me, you know, every little step they took, every little project they did made it just a little bit easier for the next generation.
What do you wish you could
That's
tell
what-
your What do you wish you could tell your younger self? Like little 12-year-old, like when you were really, when you didn't know that there was going to be a bright light? Like, think about all you've done. Like, what would you tell your younger self? I'm gonna get therapy because we're wrapping this up.
Um, hold on a little longer because there's a big, beautiful world full of wonderful people waiting for you that will love you and embrace you and celebrate you just as you are. Um, and I kind of always knew that, I kind of always, there was always something, um, there was always a voice inside my head that told me you were meant for bigger things. And when other people in my life started to tell me that as I was growing up, I knew it wasn't just me. Other people recognized it in me too. And I'm not done. I'm not even half done, with all the things that I'm going to do in this world. But I don't think I'm doing too bad.
No, you're doing so good, and you more than deserve to be in every room that you are in. You are about to run off to go work Drag the Musical right now. Fill me in on what you're doing with Drag the Musical.
So, Drag the Musical is this amazing show that my friends Spencer Lift and Alaska um, and a whole amazing team and crew there. And basically, the story is two warring drag houses that both fall into dire straits and realize throughout that they may have to depend on each other to survive. Um, but it's so much more than a typical drag show. Like every in theater, every generation has its Lacage, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, Kinky Boots, all that went on to do amazing. I'm telling you, this show is the next big thing. It's so full of heart and good um, lessons, and it's just good, unclean fun. Like everybody leaves with a big smile on their face. Just you laugh, you cry. It just hits all the notes. And so I was tapped to come in and do makeup on one of the leads, Nick Adams, the very handsome Nick Adams.
Oh, shout out Nick Adams. You are a stud. And I feel like I've known Nick's for like a decade.
Yeah, I think everybody alive has had a crush on him at one point or another because he's gorgeous.
He looks like a Disney prince.
Yes,
He looks like Eric
yeah,
from Little Mermaid.
he has every Disney prince rolled into one. So of course, the first time we actually meet and I'm getting to meet, I'm like, okay, don't be weird. And then, we got to know each other, and now it's like, oh, this is a sister.
Isn't that
Or,
funny how
or,
that
or
works out?
or a new big brother. He's such a delight and such a wonderful, wonderful person. So I get to do his makeup every night. I get to do Nick Laughlin every
Also,
night.
another Nick that I fucking love
Yeah,
since the
both my Nick.
beginning.
Yeah, he's an amazing director.
Nick
And
has always supported my career and everything too. Like from the beginning, because from the beginning of hanging out with Alaska, Nick was always around, and he used to come to the original Evita all the time, like always supported me. And I love Nick Laughlin. We became friends when he was in Book of Mormon and he was in LA, and he would come to Evita after doing Book of Mormon and get like blackout drunk with us. And we had so much fun. And then crazy story, Ash, who's one of the writers for it, and Tomas, they're on like the music side of things. I met them after Sharon Needles left Drag Race. They did her first album, and they had this like house in the valley, and I would just like go over there and get stoned and watch them make music all day. And so it's just like so full, like it's just such a full circle thing. Marco's doing the costumes, you're doing makeup, like everyone in the musical is so talented. It's so good, and everyone has to go and see it. And I'm manifesting it will be on Broadway for sure.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And
Not even a question.
yeah, and I also do makeup for Joey McIntyre.
Which
And
that's crazy. Is that like your teenage self dying?
it's so wild because my roommate and my best friend, Khalid O'Day, he's a big celebrity makeup artist. And one of his major clients is Paul Abdul. And, we have to stop and like check in sometimes, be like, isn't it wild that like all our posters from our childhood bedroom have like come to life. And now we're like, we know all these people. We're working on these people. Like, what is our life? This is
Well,
just
and not that you just know them, like you're working with them. You're like you've entered the chat at the same level. You know what I mean? And that's what I was like wanting you to see, like for your younger self, is like, yeah, like you're about to like do everything that you're like dreaming of is like about to happen. You dreamt it and it like all happened. And I love nothing more than watching people like people's dreams come true. I think that's why I love casting so much, because like that's the high that I live for. Like when Detox was on stage with Madonna, I was on the couch like crying, and I didn't even like call her. I just cried by myself, because like I like know that like little Detox dreamt of that moment her whole life. And so yeah, I love watching my friends follow their dreams, and I know that you are gonna just keep doing such amazing things.
and more dreams to come true for all of us.
Oh, I love it. I know. You're my sister. I love you so much. I don't want you to be late for work because they'll get mad at me. And I know you'll be like, Chanel kept me on. She wouldn't shut up. So since this is the end of our episode, I want you to tell me to shut up, Chanel, and go have so much fun. And I'm going to go see Drag the Musical this weekend.
Yes, please come. Bring all your friends. This won't air before it's over, right? This is
next week. I want it to air, but I could take it out if we shouldn't.
Oh, well, you all will miss the musical, but come see us in New York when we launch next year on Broadway.
Yes, when it is on Broadway, everyone sign the fuck up. But no, follow the Instagram. There's tons of content online already. Like if you're not in LA and can't see them and missed out on Drag the Musical. I love you so much.
I love you so much. Shut up, Chanel.
You can't even say it. See, Aurora I don't think you ever told me to shut up. We didn't even get to talk about Latrice's wedding at Swinging Richards, by the way.
Oh my God, that was wild.
Talk about rape.
She did not. By the way, she did not get married at Swinging Richards. She got married at a lovely hotel. That was just the after party. So thank you, Latrice, for a wild night of dick swinging at Swinging Richards.
Oh my God, that's where I feel like
congratulations.
Me and you. And congratulations on your great. No, I love them so much. That wedding was so beautiful. But no, I never got to say that in the beginning. I felt like that moment is when we really bonded. And someone in the comments last week was like, I love that you talked about Swinging Richards. So I thought I'd throw it in there again for them. I love you so much. Have a beautiful day at work, and I'll text you later.
I love you too, babe.
I love you.
Shut up, Chanel.
There we go. Love you.